My man gave Angel a generational comeback, triggering Sukuna's end. Todo switched a shard with Angel in the sky above Sukuna.
Wallahi, you're finished. Wallahi, you're finished.
How did this happen? Well, we get a flashback that's connected back to chapter 220, finishing off the other half of the meeting that Yuta had with Angel. In that chapter, he initially asked if they could transfer Angel to another sorcerer so that their technique could be utilized in battle, since Hana is in no condition to fight. But we learned it was impossible, as none of them know how to become cursed items after death. Angel claims her role will be finished once Gojo's unsealed, but that's when Hana asks what would happen to Megumi, as she has loved him since childhood. This moves us back to chapter 263 with Yuta handing them another role to save her future husband, an all or nothing gamble to split Sukuna and Megumi's souls. Yuta states that if his domain is defeated, they will set up a situation where Sukuna will be too weak to fight her, and they will use his strategic thinking to his disadvantage. His belief in how this plan works is based on the strength of copy. According to Yuta, when a technique is copied, people pay less attention to the original user of the technique. This means that his opponents tend to focus solely on the techniques Yuta possesses and the number he has in stock. Moreover, if they understand his copying conditions, it is easy to misinterpret his actions as stealing rather than copying. In this way, they fail to consider the original users with the same techniques appearing, just like Sukuna has done in this very chapter. Ultimately, the true strength of copy lies in the ability to possess two identical cards simultaneously. As a result, in this crucial moment, Jacob's ladder has been activated at maximum output, a much more powerful version than what we saw in chapter 213. Like, did you know Gege even redrew that panel for the volume where Sukuna was cooked, burnt like a crispy fried chicken? So how will he survive this time? Personally, I think this is one of the best written final fights in a manga, being comparable to the raid against Miriam in Hunter x Hunter. Like, without a doubt, it's better than the likes of Muzan and All for One, who fell flat at the end, where they fell into the trope of being too arrogant and incompetent, resulting in stupid decisions. However, Sukuna maintains the agenda of having the battle IQ of a master, forcing the protagonist to make sacrifices and gambles that have severe consequences. He survived 2 Jacob ladders beforehand, but that's when he was healthy and had more curse energy. This time round, his soul and control are at its lowest point. For example, after Yuta's ladder on the king whilst using his domain, Sukuna tanked additional damage after that, such as Hollow Purple, 8 Black Flashes, pumping his heart manually thanks to Maki, cleaves to the soul, 2 arms missing, a damaged stomach that stops his chance, half his curse energy reserves, and much more. But there's a slight problem. You're probably thinking, landing a Black Flash in this chapter has helped Sukuna restore positive energy and his technique output, right? Just like before. Well, no, because remember, we learned in chapter 258 that in a similar fashion to Gojo, Sukuna learned to establish a unique RCT relay in his awakened state. However, Yuji's onslaught of attacks at the boundaries of souls trampled on his hopes at recovering reverse curse technique. So, guys, this might be it. Sukuna's dead. Actually dead. But wait a second, I'm scratching my head here. Should we be celebrating? Doesn't that mean Megumi will die too? After all, Angel revealed in chapter 199 that the soul of the vessel is completely rewritten with reincarnation, and they lose their lives. However, her own statement regarding the separation of a vessel and the reincarnated soul only makes sense when the vessel retains its life or soul. Even if the chances are low, the possibility of such a scenario existing solidifies Mahito's stand in the whole body vs soul debate with Kenjaku in chapter 91. According to him, the soul comes before the body, meaning that the soul is the core of a person's existence rather than the the body. This is why Yuki's research into souls and Yuji's knowledge about their shape understood that two souls mixed together can never become one. Angel states that reincarnated players go against the law of God because the host's soul are permanently erased as though they never existed, which stops living things from having a natural death, going against Yuji's entire goal as an MC to give everyone a good one. For example, even in chapter 91, Kenjaku experienced something he hadn't seen before when Gojo calls out Geto for letting him control his body. This is even further substantiated by Yuji himself. Despite being deliberately created by Kenjaku, his existence as a vessel that can suppress a soul like Sukuna means that not every vessel loses its life, explaining why Sukuna had to wait for the moment Megumi's soul broke. Therefore, he can be saved once Sukuna's hit with Jacob's ladder. But there's an elephant in the room, and it's a big one costing millions of lives. Kenjaku's left the most chaos-creating device with Sukuna, the activation to kick off Tengen's merger, which means that in the last moment, Sukuna could activate it, and the last bits of his soul will also combine in this merger to create the grossest creature ever, which will have to be defeated by none other than Yuji Itadori. Now, to enjoy more peak fiction, watch this video about Ciel, Rimuru wife in Tensura, as she happens to have some of the most busted powers and loves the dude. Now, to enjoy more peak fiction, why not find out about Rimuru and how he's the strongest anime character probably ever created?